Imagine this. Two companies start in the same industry, with similar resources, similar opportunities, and similar challenges. One remains just good, slowly blending into the background of the market. The other becomes great, achieving results so extraordinary that it leaves competitors struggling to catch up. Why does this happen? Why do some companies make the leap from good to great, sustaining success for decades, while others stagnate, decline, or collapse altogether? This is the central question Jim Collins set out to answer in his groundbreaking book, Good to Great: Why Some Companies Make the Leap and Others Don't. Collins and his research team spent 5 years studying 1,435 companies over a 40-year period, looking for those rare cases where a company not only outperformed the market but did so consistently for at least 15 consecutive years. The result? Only 11 companies truly qualified as having gone from good to great. What separated them wasn't luck, charisma, or a magical new product. It wasn't about hiring the most famous CEO or adopting the hottest new technology. Instead, greatness came from a set of disciplined principles, clear, simple, and practical, that any organization, or even individual, could apply. And here's the kicker. Backhand index pointing right: the biggest obstacle to greatness is not failure, it's being good. Good feels comfortable. Good feels safe. And that's why most companies, and most people, never reach their true potential. This book is not about inspiration. It's about evidence-based frameworks that reveal how ordinary companies can achieve extraordinary results. Good to Great, Chapter 1. Level 5 Leadership, the Unexpected Ingredient. When people imagine great companies, they often picture powerful, charismatic leaders, the visionary CEOs who dominate headlines, give rousing speeches, and seem larger than life. After all, history celebrates figures like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, or Richard Branson. But Jim Collins discovered something surprising: the leaders behind companies that went from good to great were not flashy at all. They weren't the loudest voice in the room, nor were they obsessed with fame or personal recognition. Instead, they were quiet, humble, even shy at times, but behind that modest exterior was an unyielding will to make their companies great. Collins called them Level 5 leaders. Small Blue Diamond: the leadership hierarchy. Collins and his team created a 5-level hierarchy of leadership. 1. Level 1, highly capable individual. Makes productive contributions through talent, knowledge, and skills. 2. Level 2, contributing team member. Works effectively with others toward group objectives. 3. Level 3, competent manager. Organizes people and resources efficiently to achieve goals. 4. Level 4, effective leader. Inspires commitment to a clear vision and stimulates higher performance. 5. Level 5, executive, great leader. Builds enduring greatness through a unique combination of personal humility and professional will. Most CEOs in America operate at Level 4, they are competent, effective, even inspiring. But Collins found that to make the leap from good to great, a company required a Level 5 leader. Small Blue Diamond: humility plus fierce resolve. What makes a Level 5 leader different? 1. Personal humility. They rarely seek the spotlight. They attribute success to their team, not themselves. They deflect praise and avoid arrogance. They often appear modest, even ordinary, to outsiders. 2. Professional will. Despite their humility, they have an iron will when it comes to their company's success. They make tough decisions, even if unpopular. They set audacious goals and hold the entire organization accountable. They focus on building a company that thrives beyond their own leadership. Small Blue Diamond example: Darwin Smith at Kimberly-Clark. One of Collins' most striking examples is Darwin Smith, CEO of Kimberly-Clark from 1971 to 1991. When Smith took over, Kimberly-Clark was an average paper company struggling against larger competitors. Smith made a shocking decision: he sold off the company's traditional paper mills, its core business, and invested heavily in consumer paper products like Kleenex and Huggies. Wrong people drain energy, require micromanagement, and resist discipline. Wrong people often bring ego, politics, or blame shifting. A single wrong person in a key role can derail an entire team. Great leaders act decisively to remove the wrong people, even if they are talented, if they lack the values, discipline, or cultural fit. Small Blue Diamond: the right people don't need tight control. One of the most liberating insights from Collins' research is this. Backhand index pointing right: if you have the right people, you don't need to motivate them. They are self-motivated. They thrive on responsibility. They don't need to be micromanaged. This creates a culture of discipline, which becomes the foundation for sustained greatness. Small Blue Diamond: first who, in action, Nucor Steel. Nucor, a steel company, didn't become great by hiring the most technically skilled people. Instead, it built a culture that prized work ethic and adaptability. They hired people who thrived in a no-frills, tough environment. They rewarded hard work and loyalty over fancy resumes. Nucor's workers outperformed competitors because they had the right attitude, not necessarily the most credentials. This supports Collins' point: character is more important than skills. You can teach skills, but you can't teach integrity, discipline, or drive. Small Blue Diamond: the 3 practical rules. Collins distilled the first who principle into 3 simple rules for leaders. 1. When in doubt, don't hire, keep looking. Great companies would rather wait for the right person than fill a role with a mediocre fit. 2. When you know someone is wrong for the bus, act decisively. Delaying the decision hurts everyone: the wrong person, the right people, and the company. 3. Put your best people on your biggest opportunities, not your biggest problems. Many leaders make the mistake of assigning top talent to fix failing divisions. Great companies instead place their best talent on the areas with the most potential for growth. Small Blue Diamond leadership mindset shift. Most leaders think their job is to set the direction. Collins shows instead. The leader's first job is people selection. Strategy comes second. Once the right people are gathered, they will help figure out the what and where. Small Blue Diamond: why this matters. First who, then what, is powerful because it highlights a truth that goes beyond business. In life, who you surround yourself with matters more than the path you initially take. A great team can adapt to challenges, pivot strategies, and find success no matter what. A weak or toxic team will fail even with the perfect plan. This principle applies not only to CEOs but to anyone building a project, a startup, or even a personal life strategy. Small Blue Diamond key takeaways. 1. People are not your most important asset, the right people are. 2. Start with who, not what. Vision and strategy can change, character endures. 3. Hire slow, fire fast. Keep searching until you find the right fit. 4. Culture eats strategy. With the right people, culture becomes self-sustaining. Good to Great, Chapter 3. Confront the brutal facts, yet never lose faith. If you want to turn a good company into a great one, you can't afford to live in denial. Greatness requires facing reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Jim Collins discovered that great companies were brutally honest about their situations. They didn't sugarcoat challenges. They didn't hide from bad news. They didn't deceive themselves into thinking everything was fine when it wasn't. At the same time, they maintained an unshakable faith that they would ultimately prevail. This balance between brutal honesty and unwavering confidence is what Collins calls the Stockdale paradox. Small Blue Diamond: the Stockdale paradox. The concept comes from Admiral James Stockdale, the highest-ranking U.S. officer held as a prisoner of war during the Vietnam War. Stockdale was imprisoned for 8 years, tortured more than 20 times, and never knew if he would survive. He lived every day with the brutal reality of his circumstances, but also with absolute faith that he would eventually prevail and that his suffering would have meaning. When Collins asked Stockdale who didn't survive, his answer was surprising. Backhand index pointing right, the optimists. Why? The optimists believed, we'll be out by Christmas. Christmas came and went. Then Easter. Then Thanksgiving. Then another Christmas. Each disappointment broke their spirit until they gave up. Stockdale explained. Backhand index pointing right, you must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they may be. This paradox became a defining principle of good to great companies. Face reality with honesty. Never lose faith in the endgame. Small Blue Diamond: the danger of denial. Companies that fail to become great usually suffer from denial of reality. They ignore warning signs. They explain away failures instead of addressing them. They rely on positive thinking and motivational speeches instead of disciplined truth-telling. Great companies, on the other hand, create cultures where truth is heard, facts are faced, and everyone feels free to speak honestly, even when the news is bad. Small Blue Diamond example: Kroger vs. A&P. The grocery industry provides one of Collins' clearest examples. A&P was once the largest grocery chain in America. It dominated the market. But when the industry shifted toward modern supermarkets, A&P clung to its outdated model. It refused to face the brutal facts of changing customer behavior. Eventually, A&P collapsed. Kroger, by contrast, looked reality in the eye. It recognized that the traditional grocery format was dying. Kroger reinvented itself completely, moving toward large, modern supermarkets, even though this meant shutting down many old stores. Result: Kroger emerged as a dominant grocery chain, while A&P faded into history. The difference? Kroger confronted the brutal facts. A&P did not. Small Blue Diamond: creating a climate where truth is heard. Collins identified 4 practices that great companies use to ensure the brutal facts come to light. 1. Lead with questions, not answers. Instead of pretending to know everything, great leaders ask thoughtful questions. What's really happening here? What are we missing? What evidence do we have? 2. Engage in dialogue and debate, not coercion. People should feel safe to disagree, challenge assumptions, and argue. Conflict, when focused on truth, produces better decisions. 3. Conduct autopsies without blame. When things go wrong, don't waste time pointing fingers. Instead, analyze failures with curiosity: what can we learn? 4. Build red flag mechanisms. Systems that make bad news impossible to ignore. For example, customer complaint data, frontline reports, or early warning metrics. These practices build a culture where truth rises to the surface, even when it's uncomfortable. Small Blue Diamond example: Pitney Bowes. Pitney Bowes, the postage meter company, faced declining growth as technology shifted. Instead of denying it, leaders built mechanisms to force brutal facts onto the table. They encouraged open debate at all levels. They tracked uncomfortable data about customer dissatisfaction. They listened to criticism instead of suppressing it. This brutal honesty allowed Pitney Bowes to pivot and sustain success while competitors faltered. Small Blue Diamond: faith plus facts equals resilience. The Stockdale paradox is not just about business, it's about survival. Without faith, brutal facts can crush morale. Without facts, blind faith leads to collapse. Great companies, and great leaders, balance both. Absolute faith that they will prevail. Absolute discipline to confront the current facts. Small Blue Diamond key takeaways. 1. Face the truth, no matter how ugly. Greatness begins with realism, not optimism. 2. Don't sugarcoat problems. Cultures that punish bad news create denial, which kills progress. 3. Ask questions instead of pretending to know. Leaders don't need all the answers, they need honesty. 4. The Stockdale paradox equals faith plus facts. Confront the brutal facts today, while believing in the long-term outcome. Small Blue Diamond. Why this matters. Confronting the brutal facts separates dreamers from doers. Many companies cling to hope, slogans, or hype, but greatness comes only to those who look reality in the eye, adapt, and still believe in victory. This principle applies not just to corporations but to life. Success requires the courage to admit where you truly stand today, combined with the determination to keep moving toward a better tomorrow. Good to Great, Chapter 4. The Hedgehog Concept, Simplicity within the Three Circles. If there's one principle from good to great that most people remember and use, it's this one, the hedgehog concept. It comes from an ancient Greek parable. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. The fox is clever, crafty, and always trying new tricks. The hedgehog is simple, slow, and ordinary, but it always survives because it does one thing extremely well: when attacked, it curls into a spiky ball that no predator can penetrate. Companies can be foxes or hedgehogs. Fox companies chase too many ideas, spread themselves thin, and try to be everything to everyone. Hedgehog companies simplify complexity into one single, guiding idea, their one big thing. Collins found that every company that went from good to great discovered its hedgehog concept, a simple, crystalline understanding of what they could be the best in the world at. Small Blue Diamond. The Three Circles. The hedgehog concept sits at the intersection of three circles. 1. What you can be the best in the world at. Not what you want to be the best at. Not what you could be competent at. But what you can truly be number one at, better than anyone else. 2. What drives your economic engine. The single denominator that drives profits most powerfully. For example, profit per X, per customer, per store, per employee. Great companies identify the one lever that matters most for financial success. 3. What you are deeply passionate about. What ignites the people in your company. What you would pursue even if it didn't make you rich. Where these three circles overlap, you find your hedgehog concept. Small Blue Diamond example, Walgreens. In the late 1970s, Walgreens was just another drugstore chain, facing fierce competition. Many rivals chased fads like mail-order catalogs, photo processing, or sprawling retail models. Walgreens discovered its hedgehog concept. Best in the world at convenient, high-quality drugstores. Economic driver, profit per customer visit. Passion, making customers' lives easier. So Walgreens focused relentlessly on building convenient locations, with drive-through pharmacies, easy access, and customer-focused services. They sold off distractions and doubled down on this one big thing. Result? Walgreens outperformed the stock market by more than 15 times over 15 years, crushing competitors like Eckerd and Revco. Example, Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo didn't try to be the biggest or flashiest bank. Its hedgehog concept was clear. Best in the world at running a bank with efficiency and discipline. Economic driver, profit per employee. Passion, building a culture of discipline and accountability. Instead of chasing risky strategies, Wells Fargo obsessed over efficiency. While competitors collapsed during deregulation, Wells Fargo thrived by sticking to its hedgehog concept. Small Blue Diamond. Non-hedgehog companies, the danger of being a fox. Many good companies fail to become great because they act like foxes. They jump on every trend. They diversify into unrelated businesses. They spread resources too thin. They confuse core competencies with hedgehog concept. Core competence is not equal to hedgehog concept. You may be good at something, but if you can't be the best in the world at it, it's not your hedgehog. Example, Warner Lambert was good at many things, razors, consumer goods, pharmaceuticals, but lacked focus. It never found a single hedgehog concept and eventually got swallowed by Pfizer. Small Blue Diamond. Getting to the hedgehog concept takes time. Collins emphasizes, finding your hedgehog concept is not a quick brainstorming session. It often takes 4 years or more of deep dialogue and disciplined thought. It requires facing brutal facts, from Chapter 3. It emerges gradually, through insight, not by committee slogans. Great companies were patient and disciplined in discovering theirs. Small Blue Diamond. Discipline once the hedgehog is found. Once you discover your hedgehog concept, everything else becomes clear. What to do. What not to do. Where to invest. Where to stop wasting time. The power of the hedgehog concept lies not in brilliance, but in clarity and consistency. Small Blue Diamond example, Abbott Laboratories vs. Upjohn. Abbott discovered its hedgehog concept, producing cost-effective, generic pharmaceuticals with disciplined operations. It focused relentlessly on efficiency and affordability. Upjohn, by contrast, chased high-margin branded drugs and avoided confronting reality when patents expired. Abbott quietly outperformed Upjohn, eventually surpassing it. Again, clarity beat complexity. Small Blue Diamond. Why the hedgehog concept matters. The hedgehog concept isn't about flashy ideas. It's about simplicity born from deep insight. Greatness comes from focus, not breadth. Doing fewer things, but doing them better. Saying no to opportunities that don't fit the hedgehog concept. Scene, calm music, montage of iconic companies or abstract visuals of growth, teamwork, and success. Narration. Greatness isn't about luck, charisma, or flashy ideas. It's about disciplined people, disciplined thought, and disciplined action. It's about getting the right people on the bus, facing reality head-on, finding your hedgehog concept, and relentlessly building momentum. Remember, good is the enemy of great. It's easy to settle, but only those who push beyond good enough achieve lasting impact. Whether you're leading a company, a team, or your own life, these principles apply to anyone willing to take the leap. Scene, fade in a glowing path or mountain peak with greatness written on top. Narration. So ask yourself, are you aiming for good, or are you ready to go from good to great? Optional call to action. If you want to learn more strategies from the world's best companies and leaders, subscribe to the channel and watch our full summary videos. Scene, fade out with channel logo and uplifting music.